Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today I've got an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a custom kit configuration for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment in the comments section letting me know what kind of gun and accessories you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode of Loadout. Today's top comment comes from Super Crap and Stuff, who suggests the QBB-95 Heavy Barrel Bipod Cobra. This is by far my favorite support kit weapon, and it has some interesting stats to make it more useful. It has a quicker bipod deployment time, not that it matters to you, and an absurd bullet velocity. In my mind, it beats out the MG36 by having a 75 round drum, making extended mags much less useful than heavy barrel, and balances the longer reload time. It is an amazing weapon, and I don't see people use it. You should try it out. So here I am using a bipoded LMG once again, and I really did make a good effort to try and use the bipod as much as possible with this weapon. There just wasn't a lot of good footage because frankly using the bipod is a lot of sitting around and waiting for an enemy to pop around a corner. Got a few kills with it here and there, but ultimately I found the run and gun play with this gun to be much more enjoyable. And you actually can run and gun with the QBB-95. It does have the accuracy to support standing up firefights, especially with that heavy barrel. Now very recently I reviewed the Type 88 LMG, and I kind of came to the conclusion that it was probably my least favorite light machine gun. Now that gun has the exact same damage model and the exact same fire rate as the QBB-95. So what potentially makes the QBB-95 stand out? Why is the QBB-95 better than other machine guns like the Type 88, which at first glance appear to be very similar to this weapon? Well, for one, the QBB-95 has far less recoil and a far more accurate shot. In addition, it can equip the heavy barrel, which really allows for a very, very accurate shot. Well, it at least increases the aiming down sight accuracy immensely, and if you have a good shot, then that is going to be very important to your playstyle. Equipping a heavy barrel on this gun, in my mind, is the only way to play it. Now, Super Crap and Stuff is definitely on the spot when he says that this gun has an absurd bullet velocity. It has a 670 meters per second bullet velocity, which is faster than most bolt action sniper rifles, or most sniper rifles for that matter. Basically, the only other gun in the game that really matches the bullet velocity of this is the AUG A3. And bullet velocity is very important for hitting either moving targets or targets that are far away. You really don't have to lead very much with your targets with this gun. You just point directly at them and shoot, and you should start getting hit markers. This makes the gun easier to aim and easier to shoot. Now, it's got a very, very low rate of fire at 650 rounds per minute, which is probably one of the hardest things to get used to with a weapon, just because in many firefights when you're put up against an opponent that has equal skill as you, if he has a gun that can dish out more damage than you can, he's often at the advantage and he will often win that firefight. So using a gun with such a low rate of fire, potentially sacrificing your damage output, can be a very tricky situation to put yourself in. You really do have to potentially play more of a support role, or just hope that you can really find your opponents off guard and make your shots count with this gun, because it's not going to provide you any sort of benefits in close quarter engagements, except for its 75 round drum magazine. And that's actually a really big help, because 75 rounds allows you to easily take on 2 or 3 or even 4 opponents, provided that you use your bullets wisely, provided that you have the drop on them. Again, the low damage output doesn't necessarily give you good odds of being able to take out 4 opponents in a close quarter situation, but if you do have the drop on them somehow, or if you use your skill or your strategy or whatever you have at your disposal to somehow win those firefights, you're definitely going to have the ammunition to do so without needing to reload. Now, when it comes to aiming down sight accuracy, the QBB-95 has some of the better aiming down sight accuracy available to it out of any of the LMGs. Now, the LMGs are broken up into sort of 2 categories of aiming down sight accuracy. Half of the machine guns have a 0.5 aiming down sight accuracy, and the other half have a 0.4 aiming down sight accuracy. Now you take this 0.4 aiming down sight accuracy guns, which are the better, more accurate LMGs, and only half of those have the heavy barrel available to them. The heavy barrel, once equipped, can take that 0.4 aiming down sight accuracy and turn it into a 0.2 aiming down sight accuracy. This puts the gun on basically assault rifle accuracy levels. So all of a sudden now you're shooting at assault rifle accuracy levels, assuming you're firing an assault rifle that doesn't have a heavy barrel equipped. So you now have a very accurate, very capable LMG here. It doesn't shoot extremely fast, but it doesn't make it necessarily a bad weapon. It just means you can control the recoil that much better, and it actually makes this gun very effective at medium and medium to long range distances. So having the heavy barrel available to this LMG puts it in the same sort of category of accuracy as the M27 IAR or the L86A2. Now, although the bipod does appear to deploy very quickly on this weapon, it's such a circumstantial device to use, and something that I definitely wouldn't want to use against a skilled player, that I don't really consider it to be that much of a benefit for the QBB-95. I mean, it's kind of fun in some situations. It almost feels like a novelty. When you get to use it, you feel really excited, especially when you get a kill using the bipod. You're like, man, I used that tool the way it was meant to be used. But at the same time, there's so many situations where I was using it thinking that, you know what, if I had just taken the time that it took me to wait with this bipod deployed, waiting for my opponent to turn around a corner, I could have actually moved up the battlefield and had a much better hiding spot to engage my opponent, or a much better tactical spot to engage my opponent. So I'm still not very crazy about the bipod play, but if it's something that you really like, then the QBB-95 is actually an excellent candidate for bipod gameplay. Now let's go over the damage model real quick here. It's got a maximum damage of 25, a minimum damage of 18.4 with a fall off that ends at 50 meters. However, with the heavy barrel applied, that damage fall off is going to extend out to 65 meters. Now sadly, its 650 round per minute rate of fire makes this one of the lower damaging LMGs out there. However, it has a very low recoil to make up for this, and on top of which, its bullpup design gives it a very accurate hipfire shot. So this gun is actually very capable when using in a hipfire situation. This can actually give it a nice little benefit when fighting in close quarters, where every other gun, most people are going to switch and try and aim down sights. That's going to take them a fraction of a second, one which you don't need to take if you're firing from the hip. It could potentially win you some of those close quarter gunfights when you're up against somebody with a faster firing gun. Now, its short reload clocks in at 3.8 seconds, which seems kind of on the long side, but then again you also have to take into account that you have a 75 round drum magazine. So if you're using those rounds effectively, then you shouldn't be needing to reload too often, or you can definitely make sure that you can be in a safe place before you need to reload the gun. So all in all, I actually ended up enjoying the QBB-95 quite a bit. Of course, my biggest gripe with the weapon is its slow rate of fire. Not something that's necessarily a huge negative aspect about any gun out there. It's just something that I tend to notice most when I'm up against extremely skilled players, because when it comes down to a firefight where you're both on target, you're both incredibly accurate, you have fast reflexes, then it just comes down to whoever has the highest damaging gun, and that's where the QBB-95 is going to end up losing. But for the most part, for a slower firing weapon out there, I actually enjoyed the QBB-95 quite a bit, and it definitely has the potential to drop people at long range with that bipod. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Loadout. Don't forget to leave your comments letting me know what kind of gun and accessories you'd like me to run with for the next episode. Rate the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.